Alright, so we're out in the garage going to finish this up for my mom tonight. So you can see I labeled everything A, B, C, D, A2 through F2. And now I just have to assemble it, so I'm going to kind of work from the top down. And I'll use the edge pieces that connect to them as the templates to make sure everything fits properly. So I'm going to do the outside edges first on both sides, and then the middle pieces to make them fit. And it should be good, so let's get to it. So one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to at the beginning of the video was that I am slightly tweaking the prints from this that I found online. And what I'm going to be doing is in that middle section that you saw initially, instead of having it protrude out, I'm going to sink it in so that I can fit a picture frame on the front of this heart and then get a picture of our family in it for my mom. So I think it'll be a good present, and I'm hoping it turns out good, but you'll have to keep watching to see if it does. So you can see the outside edges were pretty easy and quick to do, utilizing the template, but now that I'm starting to sink everything in here instead of protrude it out, I'm going to have to start actually filing, cutting, and trimming some of these pieces to make it work. And you'll see once we get to welding, because the prints weren't designed for this initially, some of the gaps that I have to fill when I go to weld it are pretty large, but I think it comes out pretty well with kind of just winging it and seeing how it goes for a first time thing. So I decided to weld this with silicon bronze just because I think it'll give it a nice cool look to it, and you'll be able to see, especially with how large some of these gaps are, the silicon bronze very well after I grind everything smooth. And it's going to help with some of that pore fit up a little bit better than I think a MIG process would, just because this material is pretty thin and I'm not really melting the base material with this. I'm just melting the silicon bronze, which will then use capillary action to fill those gaps, and it works pretty well. But once we get this finished up, we're going to then clean it up and grind it, and hopefully it comes out decent looking. Alright, so we got the finished product here. Came out pretty decent. My biggest issue was the middle here. The gaps were a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be, and I think that's because I didn't take the time to grind to the perfect size. I just cut them close and tried to get together, but overall came out pretty good. Super strong, and I think my mom's going to like it. So if I were to do this again, I think what I'm going to do is drop in for a plasma file, cut these out and leave about 1/4 inch on each end so I can just bend these and they'll stay in the correct position, making the fitment much easier. Alright, so we got it finished up and it came out pretty good. You might notice it looks a little bit different than it probably should. And what it's supposed to look like is that from the side here, this section here is supposed to come straight up. But since this is for my mom, I figured I wanted to try to make something a little bit different for her. And what I did was I pushed them in to have this somewhat rectangular shape here. And I'm actually going to glue a small picture frame in here. And then put a picture of me, my brother, my mom and dad in there. And that'll be her birthday present for this. So hope everybody liked the video. If you have any questions on this build or have any comments just in general about things you'd like to see, let me know. Otherwise, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.